Hey guys, today we're going to talk about SARADA'S Manjikyu Sharingan, and before starting this video, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell and click like below. With that done then, let's get started. As we saw in the last chapters, unfortunately Kawaki ended up mortally wounding Boruto, but as we already imagined, there was a great possibility that Momoshiki would end up regenerating that wound just like Kurama did with Naruto. And indeed, it ended up happening. Boruto, in addition to being healed by Momoshiki, also ended up, unintentionally, making it impossible for Otsutsuki to revive in his body. But what I see a lot of people not saying is that it was lucky, or unlucky depending on the point of view, that everything that happened to Boruto happened outside the village and not inside. But wait Rafa, because that would be important. It doesn't matter where that place that happened with Boruto would be. What matters is that he revived and is fine, right? Yes guys, really Boruto being alive is really very good, but there is a big difference in Boruto being killed and being saved far from the village than inside. Because far from the village only those who are there will be following the situation already inside from the village, as well as his mother and sister seeing him fighting death. We would still have Sarada very possibly seeing this too. And that's the main question, because if Sarada sees Boruto almost dead, wouldn't that be the perfect trigger for her to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan? Because that's it guys. It is always good to remember that the Manjikyu Sharingan is only awakened by a strong emotional impact, such as the death of someone very dear, or even regret and sadness. Unfortunately this is the burden that the Uchihas carry for being a clan with their own feelings connected to your ocular powers. So regardless of which Uchiha is in question, the more sentimental this Uchiha is, regardless of whether for good or bad, generally the more powerful he is. And that's where it gets more complicated, because the more powerful he is, the more he tends to follow a darker side. In the course of the story we have seen that the great majority of Uchihas tend towards evil after surrendering to hatred for losing someone they loved or for being too sad, and this is a concern that Sakura has in relation to Sarada. This concern is really legitimate because you can't know what will be Sarada's reaction when that happens. Of course, some Uchihas have overcome this sentimental and hateful barrier of the Uchiha clan such as Kagami, Shursui, and even Itachi. But even so, even in developing this deadly hatred and this unstoppable thirst for fight along with a mental conflict that shook them very easily, yet all three of these Uchihas have suffered from pain at some point, and that is Sakura's fear. And before anyone says she's too young to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan, Itachi himself also awakened his Manjikyu around the age of 13-14. So age is no reason to disbelieve that this can happen to Sarada, even more so when we talk about the feeling she has about Boruto. The bond between her and Boruto is very strong, it goes beyond a teenage love just like we had in Naruto Classic. Boruto and Sarada have a bond of friendship that has been built since they were very young. Actually stopping to think here, the bond that she and Boruto have is much better developed than Sasuke had with Sakura, or Naruto with Hinata. What we see with Sarada and Boruto is the total opposite. They do have their differences, and again, that's because we're not talking about the love issue, because it's also more than clear that both do have a union that goes beyond friendship and companionship. There are several moments when both show their feelings for each other, so it's pretty obvious that the possibility of them ending up together in the future is very high. So in addition to friendship, there's love that even more discreet is part of this duo. Now think again. How would Sarada deal with seeing Boruto almost dead in front of her? The chances of her awakening her Manjikyu Sharingan are very high guys, there's no denying it. And that's why it made a total difference that Boruto was attacked and recovered away from the village than inside the village. But of course, Boruto is safe for now, but nothing guarantees that in the future something will happen, since he himself Momoshiki made it clear that he was supposed to take care of himself, because now that he's become a perfect Otsutsuki he's one of Code's main targets to feed his Jubi. So I want to know about you, if Sarada had been in that fight, had she seen Boruto be injured and practically killed by Kawaki, would she have awakened her Manjikyu Sharingan? Or if she saw Boruto from the state he was arriving in Konoha to try to be saved, wouldn't the same happen? And could it be that just as Momoshiki said to Boruto, in the near future, Boruto could end up being attacked in an almost mortal way, and with that Sarada